The United States just tied Uruguay 0-0 in what was likely our last big test before the summer, before the World Cup. Hi, I'm Filippo, and welcome to Tactical Manage TV, and welcome to another 7 Things We Learned episode where every game following a U.S. men's national team match, we tell you 7 things we learned. Now, you can tell me what you learned. There's definitely more than 7. I just don't feel like doing more than 7. And this is a series that I totally ripped off from George Benson. Now, if you did not fall asleep during this game, you were either at the stadium, at our live stream, or drunk, or all 3 of them. It was a snooze fest. Now, get your popcorn, sit back, relax, smash the like button or dislike button. Let's play the intro now and start with lesson number 1. Lesson number 1 is about Tyler Adams' lack of ability on the ball. And I've been talking about this almost every week on the Usmnt Abroad series that if you've been around the channel, you've known by now. The RB Leipzig's new system is very possession-oriented, and obviously they still have the intense pressing. But we saw with RB Leipzig how Tyler Adams is not very effective on the ball. And the more I watch him, the U.S. men's national team, the more I realize his limitations on the ball. Now, he's very good tactically, very good pressing, very good defensively, and very smart in the field. But on the ball, he's ineffective. Unless he's given time and space, then he's okay on distribution. But besides that, he's not very good on the ball. That's why I've been advocating, too, for us trying a little bit more Luca De La Torre at the 6, which Greg, to be fair, has tried in the previous game against Morocco. Hopefully we see a little bit of that more because Tyler and Callan Acosta aren't that good on the ball. But this lesson is more specifically towards Tyler because we saw that again against Uruguay. Lesson number 2 is that Joe Scally, at the moment, he might not be ready yet for the U.S. men's national team. But listen, I still want to see a larger sample size. Maybe start him against El Salvador away and see how he does there. Tough environment. But at the moment, from this game, it doesn't look like he was ready yet. Couple things to take into consideration here. He might have been nervous. It was his first start for the U.S. men's national team. It was also a very tough opponent, and he is just 19. But look, I also want to debunk one thing. Some people said that Greg Berhalter had set him up for failure, to fail. Look, Greg put him at the left back, right back, gave him the game. I thought Greg has no blame of his own. But throughout the match, Scally looked, in the first 20 minutes, he was kind of like too far from his opponent, giving them too much space and poorly positioned, right, high up the field sometimes and caught off position. And then later on, he was a little bit too tight to his man. And we saw that on that Darwin Núñez spin, but that happened a few times. That one was just more noticeable. So there were many mistakes. And on the ball, Joe Scally was just completely ineffective, which, to be fair, I expected that as he's not very effective on the ball for Gladbach. But defensively, he is usually rock solid. And in this game, we can't really say much. And again, it wasn't Uruguay's main players. Palesti came in later in the game. Arrascaeta wasn't there. There were players missing, so it could have been a lot worse for Scally in terms of level of play that he would face in this match. Okay, so Scally, again, do not give up on the kid. But at the moment, he might not be ready. Lesson number 3 is Jesus is just not our 9. He's not even a 9. And look, I've been saying this forever. He's not a goal scorer. Sure, he has other attributes that can help, and I'm not going to talk about it again as I've talked about it countless times. And so does Sargent, by the way, have a lot of attributes that can help besides goal scoring, I guess. And some say I'm even being harsh to Jesus Ferreira. But, I could talk about his flaws. I'm also not going to go through that again. Can't win aerial duels. Can't finish the goal he missed, the header. You need to score those. His shot's not powerful enough. But I've talked about this countless times. Jesus is a 10, not a 9. And putting him at the 9 position for us, sure, he's scoring in MLS, but you see it for the U.S. men's national team. He really doesn't score for us. And he does have opportunities. He just doesn't score. He does get in the right positions. He's very smart in the field. Maybe the XGs are there, I guess, but you got to put those in. He's not scoring, man. It's the same argument with Josh Sargent that we've had in the past. Which brings me to lesson number 4, which is that I want to see Tim Weah at the 9. And I've talked about this before. I don't think he'll be good as a lone striker when we are a possession-oriented team, right? His hold-up play is not there. The link-up might not be good. He's not very good with his back to the opposition as well. And sure, maybe he needs to improve his finishing, even though I think his finishing is probably better than Jesus, Sargent, and a few others to name. But if we're going to be a transition team, which to be quite fair, the U.S. men's national team is better in transition, but that's a topic for a different video. Tim Weah is likely the best option if we play with a lone striker in transition. He can do that job. We've seen him do for Lille. Hopefully we face eventually an opponent, maybe in September, maybe a Brazil, Argentina, where we have to play a little bit more of a low block and defend for our lives in attack and transition. Maybe that's how we'll face England. If that's the case, Tim Weah should be our center forward if we play in transition, or at least tested there. Lesson number 5 is about MLS good form, or outstanding form, because Paul Riola is probably one of the most informed players in MLS. In Ligue 1, which is the French league, bad form, which Tim Weah kind of had a bad season. So look at it this way. Paul Riola in 13 games in MLS, he had 7 goals and 3 assists so far. Tim Weah all season long for Lille had 35 games, only 3 goals, so less than half than Riola, and 5 assists. So clearly, based off that, Paul Riola is in better form, obviously based off the level of competition. But when we saw Paul Riola come into the game after a decent to very good first half from Tim Weah, where he was very dangerous, very active, he kind of got a PK in my opinion. I need to see that play again. I thought it was a handball from the Uruguayan player. What I've noticed from that is that when Paul Riola came in, it was just a straight up murder of our right wing. Like the right wing completely died. That was a crime, to say the least. Once he came in, there was nothing there. Our right wing was done, and we attacked a lot through the right flank in the first half. Again, when judging a player's form, the level of competition he faces matters, and the Paul Riola Tim Weah right there is a great way to show that example. And yeah, I'm not telling anyone something new that Ligue 1 is a better league than MLS, right? That shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. Lesson number 6 is the curious case of Greg Berhalter, and yes, I totally stole that from the Benjamin Button movie. So I struggle to understand Greg. Sean Johnson was not even in the roster, which means he wasn't even Greg's top 3 choices for the goalkeeper. So what happened? Was Sean Johnson that good in training that Greg had to start him against Morocco? And don't get me wrong, he was fine. He was actually good in the game, Sean Johnson. He was very good. I just don't understand the logic of why he started. And some people were asking me, and it beats the heck out of me. I don't know how to explain Greg's logic. And we've seen this in the past, right? There was a camp where Walker Zimmerman wasn't even in the roster, and he came in, I believe, to replace John Brooks in World Cup qualifying. And he came in and was automatically a starter, which was good because Walker performed during World Cup qualifying. The problem here is not criticizing Greg, is just not really being able to understand what goes through his head. And his bounce passes. I don't get that either. All right, lesson number 7, and if you haven't already, I'm going to remind you, if you made it this far, don't forget to smash the like button there right now. But lesson number 7 is, I don't think, or at least I don't have the feeling that we got the best out of this Uruguay friendly. And it could be a little bit because of the lineup they put in. Yes, some people are saying that it's not their B team. Come on, guys. There are only 2 guys that are locked in starters for that team. Actually, 1. Jimenez is a locked in starter. Darwin Núñez is usually a starter. Besides that, they're all B or C team players. Okay, they were missing many players that were benched. Some of them came in later. Even Muslera, he's not their starting goalkeeper right now. Okay, just to make that clear. So unlike the Morocco game, which we kind of got some things out of it, like Brendan at the 8 and a couple more that we talked about in the 7 things we learned, for this game it kind of felt like we didn't get much out of it. To be fair, probably Uruguay didn't get much either, right? Or maybe they did, since they played they rotated their squad a lot. That's just my opinion on it. Let me know yours. Let me know if you think we got something out of it. And if we did, leave it on the comment section down below. I just don't see it, or I'm not seeing it right now, right after the game. This is recorded right after the game. All right, everyone, thank you very much for watching. We will be doing the full coverage of the CONCACAF Nations League as well, with the live streams and also the U20 coming up. But before the U20 comes up, we're going to still face Grenada. Hopefully I said that right. And El Salvador for the CONCACAF Nations League. We'll be doing a preview, live watch along, all the good stuff. And I know a lot of you are going to go to the game in Austin. I am near Austin, but I won't be attending that. Don't forget to smash the like button before you go. Thank you, BetOnline, for sponsoring this. Thank you very much for watching, everyone, and have a great day.